Need to lock down your FastMCP server with enterprise-grade authentication without managing complex OAuth flows yourself? You'll see how to integrate WorkOS AuthKit in just 5 lines of code, automatically handling JWT validation, endpoint discovery, and OAuth configuration while keeping your server secure. The pattern uses remote authentication, where AuthKit manages logins and your FastMCP instance validates tokens with 0 manual setup. From FastMCP, import FastMCP. From FastMCP, server, auth providers, WorkOS import AuthKitProvider. Hash the AuthKitProvider automatically discovers WorkOS endpoints. Hash and configures JWT token validation. AuthProvider equals AuthKitProvider. AuthKit domain equals https:// your project 12,345 AuthKit app. Base URL equals http:// localhost 8000 hash use your actual server URL. MCP equals FastMCP. Name equals AuthKit secured app. Auth equals AuthProvider. This demonstrates the remote OAuth delegation pattern for authentication. The code shows how to integrate a third-party identity provider, WorkOS AuthKit, with your application server, where the provider handles user authentication while your server remains responsible for token validation and authorization. The distinctive aspect is the clean separation between authentication logic and business logic, with all OAuth complexity abstracted behind a provider interface. The pattern works by establishing a trust relationship between your server and the identity provider. Your application delegates login flows to AuthKit, which issues JWT tokens after successful authentication. Your server then validates these tokens using cryptographic signatures, without needing to implement user management or password handling. This follows the principle of externalizing security concerns, letting you focus on core application logic while leveraging specialized authentication infrastructure. This approach matters because it eliminates the need to build and maintain authentication systems from scratch. You gain enterprise-grade security features like single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and compliance handling without writing any of that code. The trade-off is vendor dependency, but for most applications, the reduced complexity and improved security posture make this pattern the pragmatic choice over rolling your own auth system. Let's break it down line by line. From FastMCP, import FastMCP. This imports FastMCP, the core class for building AI-callable tools. It transforms Python functions into structured APIs that AI models can invoke, complete with type safety and automatic schema generation. From FastMCP, server, auth providers, WorkOS import AuthKitProvider. This imports AuthKitProvider, a WorkOS authentication adapter for FastMCP. It handles JWT validation and endpoint discovery automatically, eliminating manual OAuth configuration. The provider integrates WorkOS's AuthKit service as your authentication layer. Hash the AuthKitProvider automatically discovers WorkOS endpoints. Hash and configures JWT token validation. AuthProvider equals AuthKitProvider. This instantiates the WorkOS AuthKitProvider, which handles 2 critical security functions: automatic discovery of WorkOS authentication endpoints and JWT token validation. By centralizing auth configuration here, you eliminate manual endpoint management and ensure all incoming requests are properly authenticated. This follows the provider pattern for pluggable authentication systems. AuthKit domain equals https:// your project 12,345 AuthKit app. This specifies your WorkOS AuthKit project domain the base URL for all authentication operations. FastMCP uses this to discover OAuth endpoints, validate tokens, and handle user sessions. Replace the placeholder with your actual AuthKit domain from the WorkOS dashboard. Base URL equals http://localhost 8000 # use your actual server URL. This specifies your server's public URL for OAuth redirect handling. WorkOS requires this to securely return authentication tokens after user login, and it must exactly match your registered domain in the WorkOS dashboard. This closing parenthesis finalizes the AuthKitProvider instantiation, completing the configuration for WorkOS authentication. It enables JWT validation and endpoint discovery, securing all subsequent FastMCP tool calls through this provider. MCP equals FastMCP. Name equals AuthKit Secured App. Auth equals AuthProvider. This instantiates the FastMCP server with AuthKit security enabled. The auth parameter injects our WorkOS-based authentication provider, ensuring all tool endpoints require valid JWT tokens. This is the standard initialization pattern for secured FastMCP applications. Remote OAuth integration. The AuthKitProvider bridges FastMCP servers with WorkOS AuthKit, handling JWT validation and OAuth metadata automatically through dynamic client registration. Your AuthKit domain must exactly match your WorkOS project's AuthKit URL, including the https:// prefix. This pattern eliminates manual OAuth configuration while maintaining enterprise-grade security.
The provider that knows no credentials validates every credential